Hi, today I'll be showing you how to do a bouquet of cupcake flowers. There's a few things involved, but I'll just be showing you some basic flower techniques and then how to assemble the bouquet. First up, you'll need cupcakes. I did a range of regular and mini ones, buttercream, some pastel colours, and then for the piping tips you'll need a Wilton 127, it basically looks like a long teardrop, a Wilton 2D, and then a smaller Wilton 127. Jimmies, a piping bag, and then a pair of scissors. Using the Wilton 2D, measure it up to your piping bag, cut a little sliver and slide your 2D up through the bag as shown. Then get some white buttercream and put the buttercream in, pushing it down to the nozzle, and then twist your bag a couple of times so that the buttercream doesn't come out the end. For a basic rose, put the tip of your piping bag in the middle at a 45-degree angle. Apply a little bit of pressure and allow the frosting to drop. Move it in a circular motion and allow the frosting to fall on the outer edge of the previous circle. Continue until the entire surface is filled. You can use the same technique on a mini cupcake. If you want to practice and get the piping perfect before you use the real cupcake, use some baking paper and just repeat the process until you're comfortable with the technique. The next technique can be difficult to master, so practice a few times on the back of a plastic cup first. Once you're happy with the results, you can move on to your cupcake. For this one, you'll need the Wilton 127, so grab the piping bag, fill it with buttercream and twist it at the end so that the icing doesn't come out. The Wilton 127 looks like a long teardrop, so you want the bigger part of that teardrop to be touching the cupcake. This time you're keeping the piping bag still, applying a small amount of continuous pressure and rotating the cupcake with your other hand to create the inner bud. For the petals, you'll be piping in a rainbow fashion. So the tip stays the same, the bigger part of the tear is touching the cupcake, and you essentially want to be starting on the ground, releasing the buttercream, going up the rainbow, then come down the rainbow, and then release it at the end. Start the next petal in the middle of the previous one. Again, starting on the ground, going up the rainbow, down the rainbow, and finishing. As you work your way to the outer petals, start angling your tip away from the inner bud to create a more open rose. Once you've completed enough petals to cover the surface, you'll have a pretty little rose just like this one. Practice makes perfect, so it might take a while to get it right. Next, you need a new piping bag with some buttercream. Snip the top off so that we can create a little blob on our cupcakes. Once you've done the blob, we're going to be putting jimmies on it. So grab a container with some jimmies inside, and then get your cupcake and dunk it in the jimmies. Make sure all of the buttercream is covered with some jimmies. Squish it down a little bit, and it'll make a nice little cute sequins vintage type cupcake like this. Next up, you're going to be doing a daisy frosting. So we need the small 127 tip, and this time we're going to have the smaller part of the teardrop touching the cupcake, so opposite to the rose one. For this, you're going to be piping horizontally, going back and forth to create the petals. It takes a bit of time to get it right, so practice first before you go on the cupcake. Once you've got it, pipe all the petals, and then put some jimmies in the center to make it look like a pretty daisy. And voila, there you have it. So we've looked at a few techniques today. We've done the basic rose, a more technical rose, a daisy, and then some Jimmy cupcakes. So we have ourselves some beautiful cupcake flowers, a collection of different things, and now it's time to make a bouquet. You're going to need a vase of some form. You can use a box, a jar of glass, a retro kind of container, whatever you want to use. You will need to have some form of weight in the middle because the weight of the bouquet will be at the top. So if you don't have anything to support the weight, you'll have a toppling bouquet. I've just grabbed some baking paper, I should say, some flour, tied it in, just a handful really, put it in the bottom, just like that. Most of the tutorials you see about a cupcake bouquet will have a ball, a polystyrene ball on top. They can be quite hard to find, so if you can't find one, you can actually just make one out of a block of polystyrene, which I'm going to show you today. So here we have a polystyrene block. I got this one from Craft, or you can get it from any other kind of craft store. What we want to do is we want to have a cube that will be just a little bit bigger than the top of your vase. So mine is roughly around here. With a sharp knife, you just want to cut. This is going to be a bit messy. The next thing we want to do is just cut off the edges to basically create our own ball, and then we can stick it in our vase. So I actually have some doilies. You can use some tissue paper if you want. I'm going to essentially wrap the flowers in some paper like you would at a florist. So I've got the doily. I'm going to push it inside the vase, pop it up a little bit, pull over the sides, and then we can put our sphere back on. And this time you want to squish it quite well in so that it sets in place. Next up, you're going to need heaps of toothpicks. You want your feature cupcake to be at the top, or feature flower to be at the top. And then we're slowly going to be surrounding the top one with other cupcakes. So you want to kind of mix it up with the size and the type of frosting on top. Now, when you come to do the smaller miniature cupcakes, obviously the size is quite different, so we're going to lift it up just a little bit so that it can be more even in terms of the arrangement. So let's get started. You're going to grab two toothpicks, putting them on either side, pushing them in probably halfway down the cupcake. And then you're going to position your cupcake on the polystyrene board and basically push it down like that. Okay, to make it a little bit easier, you might actually find it better to put the toothpicks in like this and then put the cupcakes in after. So next I'm going to put a miniature one on, and again, like we were just saying, slide it down, but this time keep it a little bit elevated so that you get a similar . When you are doing the sides, you want the toothpicks to be up, standing, so that your cupcakes will essentially sit on the toothpicks. Because if it's pointing that way, your cupcake will be slanting. And here you have your bouquet of cupcake flowers. Pretty cute. Bye.